Welcome to another podcast of Adeel Pirzada podcast. I'm your host Adeel Pirzada. Today we got a very special guest in our studio in our office, Grace Yan. How are you doing, Grace?
I'm great, thank you.
Awesome. Grace is a commercial real estate associate and a business owner and many more things. But before we go into the detailed intro of Grace, I want to introduce my co-host as usual, Mr. Kevin. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Thank you, Adeel. And thank you for everyone tuning in today to today's podcast. This is sponsored by the Pircon Group. We are commercial constructors and we do general contracting and design build. For information on the services that we provide, visit pircongroup.com, Pircon group.com.
All right. And the intro.
Oh yeah. All right. So the introduction as we go in, I'm very blessed to introduce a friend and colleague who you may recognize, and I'm sure you will recognize her as we promote her and share. Grace is a very established and respected person in Calgary and Alberta. She was featured on the Calgary Herald, Retail Insider, CTV, and CBC. Grace Yan is a commercial consultant with Blackstone Commercial, and she is a community leader and president of the Philippine Chambers of Commerce. And additionally, you may also notice her from her signs all over the city when she ran for mayor as a City of Calgary candidate in Calgary. And we are very glad to have her. Welcome, Grace.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
Glad
Grace.
to be here.
Thank you for coming down to our studio. This was something we were waiting for, so thanks a lot for actually making this happen. So, actually, I want to start this with asking you about your journey. So, and I know a little bit about you, but I know a lot of our viewers probably don't know anything. So, just like, what's your background? Just if you can give a quick 2 minute,
Sure.
like, how did
Yeah.
you start it?
Yeah, so my parents moved here from the Philippines. I was born in Manila,
Okay.
so we moved here when I was 5 years old. And we moved dead in the middle of winter. It was minus 35,
Right.
snow, and we come from a place where there's no snow.
Right. Hot weather.
Hot, and it was plus 35 when we left Manila. So we landed, and we're like, what is this? We've never seen it before. And my mom said, we almost just got back on that plane, right? And so, my parents came here. They both had degrees in the Philippines. My mom taught, she was a teacher. She was a math teacher. My dad was an electronics teacher. And of course, coming to a new country, which I know the government is trying to change now, their degrees were not recognized.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you had to learn how to integrate into a new culture. My parents worked hard. My dad started up his own business, and my mom was a nurse for 36 years. And so I grew up in a family where, we worked and we helped my dad in the business. And then from then, I moved to Edmonton, went to school there, and then moved back again to Calgary.
Nice.
My background is legal, so I was a paralegal for 25 years.
Okay.
And then got into real estate because my parents had real estate all
Right.
over. So it was kind of by default that I
Right.
ended up in
You
real estate.
kind of had to take care of it or learn about it in order to help them out. So
Yes.
yeah.
So it was me dealing with all the leases, and they have properties in Manila and all over the place. So that sort of exposed me to global real estate. And then
That's the brand that you have for.
I
your
mainly do
Blackstone.
global real estate. So
Okay, Black
I do
Global.
leasing all over the world. And
Wow.
yeah.
Oh wow, actually I have some question on that. So we'll wait on that. I'll let you
Yeah.
finish. Yeah.
Yeah, and so because of a lot of the business owners that I've worked with, and also with, Kent owning Melrose, that's why I ran for mayor, to really help businesses and sort of focus on creating income for the city.
Right.
So that was really my focus.
Right
So-
on. So basically, your journey is from moving from Philippines to Canada, getting your education in Edmonton, and then Calgary, working as a paralegal. That converts into real estate interest, and then real estate taught you business, and business all teaches you a whole bunch of senses. Then you're like, hey, what about our city?
What about helping businesses
Right, in our city.
in our city and focusing on income,
Gotcha.
focusing on the solutions?
Right, right. I think it's very natural after you've been in business and you know how things work. It's and you're doing well for yourself. It's kind of very natural that you want to do something now for the municipality, for the city, for the area you live in. So that's right on. So that was 2022 mayoral election.
21.
Sorry, 2021.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
October 21.
October
For
21.
this recent mayor, like that's you could have been the
That could have
The
been
mayor.
me.
Yeah.
Right. And how close were you?
So I was top 5
You were the top.
out of 30 candidates.
Wow. Okay, so you did pretty well.
Yeah, it was amazing. I had just really a lot of great support. I had great volunteers. I mean, to run for mayor is a huge job
It
because
is.
you're trying to reach 1.2 million people,
Right.
and that is not easy. So, success is a team effort.
Yeah. Yeah. It
sure.
it needs a lot of discipline and needs a lot of strategy. Like how are you gonna go about it? And it actually
Yeah.
needs a lot of money too.
lot of
It costs a lot of money to run these elections. So how do you manage that? Is it
You have to fundraise,
yeah.
and
You have donors.
that's not easy.
Yeah.
I-
That's
and I-
another business itself.
Well,
like
especially when you've never asked for money
Yeah,
before,
right.
and all of a sudden asking everybody, family, friends, oh, yeah, please
Right,
donate.
right.
That is not easy.
that's not easy.
Wow, interesting. What
know.
was it? What was hard for you in that situation?
The fundraising is the hardest. But you need a team. So you have a fundraising team, you have a comms team, you have a campaign manager, you have a sign team. We had thousands of signs all over
Yeah.
the city, right?
For me, it would be like having the humility to ask. Was that for you
Yeah.
as
Of
well?
course.
I think it's for everyone.
Right? You have to
it's,
go,
It's
"Please
not easy to
donate."
ask money, especially you've
Yeah.
never been in that position before.
Right.
So yeah.
And you
it's like-
have to ask. And that was so hard. Can you
Yeah,
please
yeah.
donate? Can you please donate?
Yeah.
And then that really just toughens you up when
Yeah.
you have to start
For sure.
asking everybody for
Right.
money.
Right. So, yeah. So you obviously you didn't end up getting elected. Do you have plans for the next elections?
No,
No?
I think that was a great experience. And I wish the next person who's going to take over
Right.
to, the best, all the best, and, trying to really, really help the city be successful. That's the main goal of the mayor,
Yeah.
is to ensure that we have a great economy and we have support for the communities, and that we create jobs.
Right.
Because running a city is like a big business.
It's like a big business, and you have to cut the red tape, and that's really
Yeah.
important.
It's a big
Sure.
cost. Yeah. Okay. Let's start from there. So, from you becoming a mayor. So, what is it really that made you think that okay, I need to run for a mayor? Like I'm whatever. What was the real cause behind?
Well, I was just, because I work with businesses, it was, hearing the struggles of businesses and of trying to survive. And then when businesses are struggling, the economy's not great, and people don't have jobs, something needs to change.
Right.
Yeah, I heard economy was a huge campaign for you.
Yeah, like it was really, that's what we really needed to do was help, Calgary's economy. And how do we do that? We have to help
Yeah.
businesses. And for me, is you have to give businesses incentives
Mm-hmm.
so that they can hire people. 5 years, most cities, most successful cities that you look at give incentives to businesses so
Right.
that they can hire people. It'll help. It takes about 5 years for businesses to really get established.
Right.
And so, even though you're giving tax incentives, let's say to businesses, you're creating jobs. And those people are paying taxes anyway. So it's
Yeah.
a win-win.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Like someone I was talking to, you're like, "Oh, you own a business, you don't pay taxes." But I'm like, I pay most amount of taxes. What you're talking about,
Yeah.
I pay GST tax. Sure, everybody, but we're giving back the GST. There's so many different taxes for businesses.
Tons.
I'm paying licensing fees all the time, and the city tax fees, and then obviously then you got commercial property. Let's say under your business, so you're paying property taxes, which are so high. Then we're in real estate business, so there's many other properties that we manage and own, and then we're paying taxes on that. I'm like, we're paying way more taxes than you can
It's
think. Like we're
tax on
paying
tax on tax on tax.
exactly. So one thing, yes, you do have a lesser amount of business taxes compared to your personal tax, but a business is paying so many taxes. We're paying CPP and EI and all that and taxes for employees, basically. So
Exactly.
and you put half the portion on some of these things, so there's like so many taxes. So and it's good for the economy. That's why businesses are needed, because they create so much tax revenue, and it's a chain. It's not like that you are only paying. You engage another business with you, and you're paying taxes, you're paying GST, they're paying GST, then they engage another business that they hire, then they're paying GST. So
Right.
it's a full chain of that infinite taxes that it creates.
Overlapping.
Yeah, and then that's what city need, right?
Yeah, we need to really create something in the city that will generate income.
Right.
And for me, it's something like, first indoor Disney in the world, first Universal indoor in the world. Something that will attract,
Wow.
that would create jobs, right? Create tourism. It's residual income for the city. This is sort of what we have to think. And
Right.
that would put us on the map.
So is that something that you had kind of looked into, you discussed? Did you look into the people who can arrange that and the numbers and
Yeah,
timelines?
we did.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And we know the guy that has the land
Right.
north of Calgary. So, that's sort of how you have to look at. We really need to attract people to the city,
Right.
right?
Right. So you want, basically you want to increase tourism,
Yeah.
right? If we have, so what you were kind of proposing, if you were to become a mayor, you would have something around outside of the city. So near the city, you would
Yeah.
have an indoor Disney.
Indoor Disney, right? Because most Disneys in the world is not in the city; it's right outside the city.
Right.
And so, or Formula One.
Yeah.
It's something that'll put us on the map. Every Disney in the world, everyone looks, oh, there's a new Disney.
Yeah.
There's a new Disney. And especially if you're the first indoor Disney in the world.
Right. That would have been something.
And exciting.
Yeah.
Imagine if you heard that news.
Yeah.
Disney is coming.
What
Yeah.
would be your revenue source there? Would that be from just taxes from those people, or how would you make money there?
Oh, no,
What would you
no.
do?
So
there's-
Disney builds their own. Okay,
Yeah.
so Disney, the corporation, they come into a city.
Okay.
They work with the city, the municipality, how to sort of share the income. That's all worked out.
Okay,
Yeah.
you do a profit sharing with the city.
And
it's
Disney.
it's
yeah.
an investment, like
Yes.
from both sides,
Interesting.
basically.
Yes.
And
that's
then they
right.
create jobs, right?
Yeah.
Then they're
Wow.
creating income,
So
right?
we don't
Consistent
need-
income.
we
There's
don't
so
need-
much that's
yeah.
being created because of that transaction.
We don't need taxpayer money, okay? It would just be,
Yeah.
just a private investment.
Wow. Does
Yeah.
the city still take profits from other people besides taxes? Do they have like half on some businesses?
Well, look
or
at the
I don't
arena. So the city is shared profits with the arena. So
Okay.
it's provincial, municipal, and the Calgary Flames.
Okay, gotcha. They got a cut.
Yeah.
Of the pie.
They kind of become an investor in a project, right? Even like communities, right? When they're cities, their biggest investor, like because
Yeah.
they're building roads and then they're sharing the cost.
That's
And
right.
then they're sharing the cost on the infrastructure, and if there's like bridges needed to be built or sanitary, water pump stations and things like that, electric
Yeah.
stations. So.
Well, and it was exciting that Premier Daniel Smith announced the arena deal because arenas do create income.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And you need something in the city that attracts people that and also retain them, right? Because that's a big factor. We were talking earlier, the bigger cities in Canada like Toronto and Vancouver and even Montreal, like they all have something that is a magnet that brings people in. And Calgary has even though it's a beautiful landscape, like it's such a beautiful city in many ways. We don't really have a big magnet in here other than Stampede, right? Which is like a
true.
season, which is, I mean, a 1 week.
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days. And yeah, so something that's here, like I look at Calway Park and I almost want to cry because that's what we have.
Yeah, I know.
And when
Hey, that's a fun place.
yeah.
If you're 10.
If you're 10, not even.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need something definitely.
Something
Like
exciting.
we needed something 10 years ago, and I think we might be going towards that direction. Like there are maybe a lot of barriers too. Like our weather is a big barrier, but now a lot of people are moving here. A lot of things are happening. You know, a lot of there could be something in the future. So why don't you think about running maybe, down the road?
I
Maybe
know.
there's still need of that.
I've been asked, and even to run provincially. Because right now we have a provincial election
exactly.
happening May 29th. So everybody, please go vote. We need to vote.
Right.
Everyone needs to vote. And it affects all of us. Especially, it's a provincial election. And so I think that, the focus does need to be on the economy.
Right.
And right now, the major concerns is the economy, mental health, healthcare.
Healthcare is a big one.
And education.
It's going down the hill. And education. Healthcare is horrible. I recently had, unfortunately, I had, where I had to go to the emergency, not for myself, and experience that. And it's horrible, horrible services. Like,
long wait.
Yeah, it's not even long wait. It's rudeness. It's not caring.
The whole experience.
Yeah, it's a horrible experience altogether. It's writing wrong notes. So
Oh, no.
yeah, So it's like if you go there for a pain, let's say you got a chest pain, and they don't have to put you in the bed right now, he's gonna write a migraine. And he's gonna say, whatever. Patient came in with a head pain,
That's terrible.
Yeah, just so, because they don't have enough. I don't know what's going on, but I don't even know we could do. I want to do something about it. This is one thing I like, at least about USA, the privatization. You can at least complain to the boss. So if the hospital mistreated you, you can probably get that person fired. By complaining to the CEO and saying, well, they're putting my health in danger. They said their service wasn't good. You can't do anything in Canada. Like they do bad service and you can't really do anything because nobody can say anything to them.
And we're back and forth the U.S. a lot. And every time I talk to people in the U.S. And they hear you're from Canada, the first thing they say is, oh, you have free health care. And I said, well,
not really.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And I know someone was saying they were in emergency as well, and the wait was 6 hours. And so I thought, wow. So what we did was we researched the wait times in Canada versus the U.S. And the U.S. average wait time is 40 minutes.
Wow. That's an emergency.
An emerge.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's crazy. Like, what's the point if you're going to wait 12 hours? You may as well,
What is it in Canada or Calgary?
It's
6
the
hours.
average is about 6 hours
6
across
hours.
across Canada.
Yeah, makes sense. If it's privatized, people want to improve their customer service and they want to have loyal customers, so they'll improve that
I think
factor.
combination, like there is public, it's needed, and not everybody can afford, and that's the issue in USA, that a lot of people can't afford
Yeah, that could be
healthcare.
an issue. Yeah, there's a cost.
It is an issue, so, and it's a cost. I think a balance between the two would be the best thing to do.
Like a tiered
partnership.
system.
Yeah, and then still have the private, like if you really need urgent and something is needed done.
Yeah.
Because if you were to get MRI right now, you probably have to wait a year.
Yeah.
In USA, you can do that in 2 weeks, but you pay for it. But again,
Yeah,
if you
premium.
but you make more money too in USA. There's more businesses,
Yeah.
there's more work, so you make more money, get the insurance, pay for the insurance, and that pays for your hospital bill.
Yeah, like you get an MRI, because I know I was talking to somebody about this too. You get an MRI, let's say in Las Vegas, it's the same day.
Oh, there you go.
And it's $250
There you go. Yeah.
for MRI and full x-ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's crazy. And over here it costs more. And if you were actually to check the books, and I know that for a fact as a business owner, if you were to check the books, everything that we do here is costing way more than what it would cost in
If you
any
paid.
business like in USA. Because there is someone looking at those statements and saying, I need to make money, or why am I losing it? So that's why privatization is actually makes things better in many level, because then there is this loss in profit actually does put people to work at their best. and
Accountable.
accountable
Yeah.
for what
That's-
they're doing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Over here is like,
Yeah, yeah,
we went
for
over
sure.
budget. It's public money. Who
They wouldn't
cares?
care
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Versus
it's-
the CEO would be like, let's improve this.
Yeah,
let's
it's
improve
like
this time so we
or
can
we're
have
gonna
customers
shut
to
down,
come back. Yeah.
right? Or if we're gonna have to shut down. When it's all the government, it's like, well, yeah, it's doing bad. Let's lend more. Let's borrow more money, right?
Well, I think, the system is broken if we're talking about, the healthcare, because if people are waiting years for surgery, that's not a solution.
No.
People are dying waiting for surgery. Hey, it's free.
Yeah.
That makes
No,
no
you're paying
sense.
for the cost. You're paying for one way or another.
Yeah.
It's stressful. Like, think about it.
Waiting. Yeah.
If you can do something because you needed to get MRI and that will decide if you have a certain problem or not, you just in this lingo the whole time. It's like, what's happening
Yeah,
with
you're
me?
waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for surgery. And in the meantime, you're dying and you're in pain.
Yeah, you're in pain.
That's not the solution.
It's horrible. It's a really brutal way to kill someone.
It's a slow death.
It's a slow death. It's
But
like
hey,
a punishment.
it's free.
Yeah, you know what? I'll pay for it. Just give me a good service. I'll pay for it all day long.
Right.
At least I can get service and reduce the taxes. So
There's
so
a better
I can pay for
solution.
it.
Yeah, there's a better
Yeah,
solution.
there are better solutions for sure. So yeah, healthcare, it's something I recently, I've faced it myself, and I have, it's not that first time, but this is the one time that is the most worst service I've seen, and the most worst behavior. I don't know, and I know a lot of good doctors here in Canada, Calgary. Our family doctor is a superb, amazing person. He does his job so well. So it's not like the healthcare, there are not good caring people out there. There are, and they're doing their job well, but there are some people are not doing their job right, which is causing pain for other people. So this needs to be changed for sure. And you said education as well. And that's another thing. There is so much happening into, and then so much lack in education itself. So hopefully our province and our federal government as well, and municipal, they can really get to the speed on these issues that are the basic to all the citizens, right?
Exactly. I think, we know what the problems are.
Right.
We just need to focus on the solutions.
Right.
And what is that? That is creating an education system where, the children are safe. They're learning current,
Technology
and current events. I mean, I think they're learning the exact same thing I learned.
Yeah.
I think that doesn't make
30
sense.
years ago.
They need to learn more tech and AI and engineering, STEM. That kind of stuff will take them
Well,
far.
let's just teach kids about taxes and money and
Oh yeah, that
Financial.
too. That too,
right?
for sure.
Like that's important.
Financial is huge, and
Yeah.
it's very important for the society.
Yeah.
I recently, and I hear more and more now, the 90% of reason of divorces happen is because of financial.
Right.
Yeah.
I might be wrong with the
Yeah,
percentage.
it
Maybe it's
sounds
a little
right.
less, but it's a majority of the
right.
divorces not because lose like their interest is not there. Yes, there might be those reasons, but financial is the big thing. And in today's day and age, like what we've been dealing with, there's inflation and the whole COVID thing happened, and supply and demand, and all the U.S. dollar going up. Everything that's happening, this is all connected with financial.
Yeah.
So you can already see what kind of impact it would have. Where people like you're in real estate, I'm in real estate. I know that people are having to have two jobs,
Yeah.
an excellent job in order to buy a home today,
Yeah.
and they cannot afford it still. Like they're still
No.
making over 6-figure worth of income,
Yeah.
both husband and wife, and they still cannot afford a reasonable house.
Because the taxes are high again, talking about that. And also food has
Yeah.
gotten expensive. And the gas.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden you're,
Everything has gone up.
like
Insurance,
tripled,
yeah.
almost tripled.
Utilities, yeah.
Right? It's like tripled or quadrupled, 4x. I mean, how can people survive? Because their salaries haven't, gone 4 times.
Right. Right. And that has a big impact on the society. Like
Yeah.
we said, financial. So it is so important to kids to have that financial education so they can have a prosperous home when they grow up and then when they make their own home.
Yeah.
Right, as a family. And when you have these issues and then all this financial drama that's happening right now with inflation, we're going to see the damage years to come, right?
Yeah. As we transition on to the next question here, because we're looking at our time. What profitable strategies, Grace, would you suggest to help Calgary business owners make money?
I think businesses are doing the best that they can under the circumstances that we're facing with,
Right.
again, supply and demand, the high costs of operating a business, and the taxes. What more can businesses do, right? But what they can do is elect the right person,
Yeah.
okay, municipally and provincially, because that affects your business, okay, and how the province is navigated, how the city is navigated.
Right.
So that's why it's so important that people do get involved and elect the right representative, because it helps a lot, okay? Like for example, right now, there's a great changes happening provincially. They're looking at cutting the red tape and a lot of the processes.
Right.
They're
It's going to fix the camera.
they are also looking at expediting ways of getting doctors.
Okay.
So that'll help with our health care.
So do you have some, I would say, you see a hopeful future with our current government, the
Yes,
provincial
for
government right
sure,
now
for
with
sure.
Daniel Smith? Okay.
Yes. I think it's
What are the things you would name like top 3 or 5 that she's doing that you didn't see before and that's why you're more hopeful?
Well, actually, the big thing is really the oil and gas.
Oil and gas.
Okay, she's really working hard. She's
keep going.
Yeah, she works hard and to really, advocate for Alberta and the economy here and creating jobs. And again, getting the doctors in here, cutting the red tape of getting healthcare people here, and sort of set up some sort of, they take an exam and then they can quickly start working.
Right.
And again, it's just helping. That helps the businesses. That helps the economy, and really with the education, she's looking at ways to find solutions to have a better, support the educational system, to support the teachers, and she really does listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we cannot have more taxes.
Right.
Okay, that's what the NDP will do.
Yeah.
Will kill businesses.
More
We
taxes.
can't forget what happened the last time they were here.
Right.
And I'm going to be very, very vocal about that. We really cannot.
So you're in support of the UCP?
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
100% UCP, vote blue.
Right.
Grace invited me to the Danielle Smith event. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. I'm actually like my thought process. So the school of thought, I like the conservative. So I'm always been on that end. But I actually do not. I've been recently told that there was something that I was involved with some conversation, and they're like, yeah, you're the UCP. And I honestly don't know the agenda of either or party. I don't know what is NDP is bringing. I'm not really too much well connected to understand, at least for this election. But overall, I know that the liberal side of the things are not doing well for our country. It's just because, and I see it, the type of the government you see in the USA too. They'll always, I think once you become business, and actually our show is about entrepreneurship, about business owners. So our business owners, our viewers will understand this very well. Once you understand the game of how business works and a run, I think you just automatically end up being on this side of the politics, where you start agreeing with more because it makes sense, because there's true facts are there, right? If you're gonna always borrow money, right, to do things, you're always gonna have to make payments, and you'll never come over those. It's just simple math. But if you're going to create money, if you're going to create a product that sells and creates a profit and then use that profit to do things, then you're going to be fine. It's just simple math. And this is what I've seen the difference between the two governments, mainly, between right to left, is that liberal usually come in and they'll borrow a whole bunch, or they'll do things like that looks on the front page very nice and free money, but it's not. Nothing is free. It's created and it's borrowed basically, and then that puts it in a more red zone, where the conservative side will come up with more like, okay, let's create businesses, let's create income that can pay for our expenses. It's
Well, exactly. And I think that's what I'm hearing too. When I talk to people, they're like, well, I don't like either one of them.
right.
Right? So I say, well, if you're going to pick between bad and bad, well, pick blue.
Right.
Pick UCP.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of stay away from the politics
Yeah.
on that level.
Yeah.
Just not like really picking sides, and everyone have their own right to do whatever they want. And I think everyone should have a right to hear both sides, or the 3 sides or 4 sides, whatever that is, whatever is there. Everyone should be given a chance to speak, and everyone should have a chance to hear, and then they can
For sure.
make their sound decision. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Grace, what are you working on now these days?
So really, it's more the global. I'm working with various franchisors, global expansions.
Nice.
Mainly in the States. It's easier. Just the leasing is just overall easier, and the margins are better for businesses right now. And
So what kind of franchises are these?
so they're quick service.
Okay. QSR.
Yeah, QSR type franchises.
Fast food.
Yeah. So Black Pearl Bubble Tea is expanding
Yeah.
in the U.S. mainly.
Right.
And it's I think even though it's expanding in Canada, but more in the States.
So are you helping them in real estate side of the things, or the whole business model?
No, it's just franchise development
Okay.
and the leasing, okay, and right now, especially in certain parts of the U.S., like Florida, which is growing a lot, so many people are moving to Florida from different states. There's so much development there. There's so many new centers happening, and so there's a lot of pre-leasing. And over there, when I'm dealing with the brokers, so we'll get everything going on our space, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, sorry, we have to restructure the plan because, oh, like Whole Foods took out a big chunk, Holly Lobby took a big chunk, and Target, they're like, oh, we're just, getting leases. I said, wow, I wish we had that problem here.
Yeah.
They're actually leaving
Wow.
Canada. Like Nordstrom's is
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're growing
Bed Bath
over
and
there.
Beyond as well.
Yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond. That's millions of square feet of vacancy.
Canadian Tire actually bought up a lot of this
Some
square
of
footage
them.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the Bed Bath and Beyond, and that's exciting. But we don't want to see companies leaving Canada altogether.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them. Target
Yeah.
left, Bed Bath and Beyond, Nordstrom's, Saks is probably going to leave. State Farm left. There's tons.
Right.
So we always have to go, what's the problem?
Right.
Or what is the solution so that they don't leave, right?
Yeah, it's just not. See, money follows the freedom, being free, and when you tied it, whether it's the government or the market, it's gonna try to leave and go to the next freest place, and it's just simple as that.
When I talked to the brokers in the U.S., I said, yeah, Nordstrom's is leaving, and they're like, well, I mean, it's the population of Canada is less than the whole population of California.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Yeah.
If it's not working, you know what? Just leave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to work extra hard because we don't have a big population to make sure that they stay.
Right. Yeah. And we're not working of population staying here, and that's one of the big things because it brings a big pool of talent. Right. Bigger population, you have more talent you'll have. So it's one of those issues that we also have. Okay. So Grace, you talk about global real estate.
Yeah.
In your introduction, what is that? If you just want to give us a quick highlight.
So I do leasing all over the world. I've sold properties in Asia, leasing.
And is that with Blackstone?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
with Blackstone. And then also in the U.S., the leasing and selling businesses and franchises. And the nice
That's cool.
The nice part of it is, so I'm doing the 3 leases in Florida. I've never seen the space because I negotiate the
Yeah.
leases, but the designers are the ones that are in there making sure that it suits, the brand can, it
It
works
can
with
work
the
out for
brand.
them. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't.
Cool.
It's 4 walls.
Yeah.
I don't need to be there,
Right.
but I negotiate leases, and that's what I'm good at. So I think that's what
That's amazing.
you need to focus
That's
on your
amazing.
strength.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're planning on, like, right now you're doing that, and then this is what you're working on, of having more of a real estate reach out without you traveling there and doing a lot. You can just do it from here.
I can do all the negotiating anywhere. It's just I've got, work, people looking for spaces all over the Bahamas, and I'm like, well, the Bahamas, that I need to actually go see, I think.
Site
You want to
visit.
be careful. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be extra careful.
Yeah, some
like,
of these places, yeah. You never know what's behind your house,
Yeah.
or I mean your property. Yeah.
The commercial spaces there, right?
You have to test drive the beach as well. You got to make sure it's
And make sure the
land is good.
It's clear water, and right temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Fun.
As we wrap up, Grace, I know we're at the 38-minute mark. What is there anything you want to promote? Any call to actions you'd like to leave for our audience?
Yeah, well, I think, let's focus on supporting local businesses here. And, Pircon Group, it's great. You guys do a lot of construction from franchises and to also big locations
Right.
as well.
Right.
And I think for me, it's always been support local and be aware of it because these businesses need, we won't know who these businesses are until we actually
Support and
them.
promote local businesses because they make up whole lot of the economy, right?
Yeah,
Our
the
GDP.
economy, yeah.
And like you said, our whole podcast, the reason why we thought of this idea is to support businesses, to support entrepreneurs that are kind of in the same struggle as we are, so they can maybe learn something or get inspiration. And also for the business owner, like franchises, we build a lot of franchises, and a lot of what we have noticed in the past, a lot of these franchise owners, they're very new. They're freshman business owner. They don't know, and they don't have those kind of business techniques, and they end up, sometimes we've seen them, like they end up wasting a lot of time and money in planning and finding a place and actually building it up. They waste a lot of money and resources, and they don't get the return. And then it's already hard in an economy like that to start a business. On top of that, if you do a one step or two step wrong, it puts you really behind. So the whole reason for this channel is just to help them out.
Well, I think, and that brings up a good point, is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so people really should use a broker, a commercial broker. Don't negotiate your own lease.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's like doing your own dental work.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Yeah.
You're not a dentist, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So these are very important things. That,
or fixing your own car, sort of.
Yeah,
But it's
right.
not a really weekend project. So.
Yeah. So you're just gonna.
Yeah, it's a
break
business.
down.
It's gonna cost you money. It's gonna make you money.
Because then what happens is people negotiate their own lease, or they negotiate their own franchise. All of a sudden later on, they're calling me. Oh no, I didn't know this and this, and it's, well, did you use a broker? Oh no, and a lot of people use the landlord, like one broker, the landlord. Well, that's like using the same lawyer for your divorce.
Yeah.
So you need someone to represent you, okay, and to act on your behalf, especially in leasing. It's so important. You get the terms right and everything. But also with franchising, a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of non-compliant franchises. So as of 2019, the franchise regulations changed. So you need the correct, like a real franchise lawyer, and there's only probably 3 in Canada that are real franchise lawyers. So there's a lot of lawyers that'll say they do franchise law, but they don't, and you're not getting the right advice. So there's only 3 in Canada that know franchise law. So you need to use the right franchise lawyer.
Good.
And make sure you have a compliant franchise.
Well,
Because if you don't, you're again in big trouble.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I know that in Canada, Black Pearl Bubble Tea is the only compliant black bubble tea franchise in Canada.
Wow.
So all the other ones,
so the regulations
So
that
they're
they have.
missing some stuff in their documents and their
they're
disclosures.
not compliant.
They're not okay.
They're-
And that's the trouble for the franchisee.
It's both.
It's both?
Both
Okay.
ways. It doesn't.
If they
it's-
get into
it-
some sort of issue, then it's not going to get resolved easily because it's not clear.
It's
Oh, okay.
Well, if you have bought a franchise that's not compliant,
Right.
there's big problems all the way down to the lease because it's usually backed up by a guarantor by the franchise.
What's the issue? Like name common one or two.
Royalties.
Okay.
So if you don't have a compliant franchise, talk to me, okay? Because there are solutions. Because right now you're right. There's a lot of franchisees that are struggling
Yeah.
because the royalties are so high, and with all the costs and expenses, what are you left with at the end of the day?
And inflation, right? And then some of
Yeah. And the costs,
Yeah.
it's really the cost. So if you don't know if you have a compliant franchise, okay, contact me because we work with one of the 3 franchise lawyers in the country.
Okay.
It's important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, you've heard it. Call Grace. Reach out to her if you need help with your franchise legally.
Yeah, well, always contact a professional, right, for whatever you need help with. And if you're buying a condo, like a residential condo, make sure you go to a real estate agent who's been dealing with residential condos for a very long time, because there's a lot of things to look at. Same thing with single family or commercial. And that's what Grace is saying, that with franchising, there's a lot of things to look at. And there are a lot of things you could miss because you're so new into the game as well. So call the right person, and that happens to be Grace in this case. She's a commercial real estate associate, and then she specializes in franchises, and she's opening a lot of locations herself. So she has all the knowledge and experience and information. So yeah, you guys, if you have any issues and any questions with regards to finding a location or getting a new franchise, contact Grace.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, I think it's helpful. And that's exactly, like I said, what we're doing. We're just trying to help those business owners, just trying to help the market so they can understand. And that we do that part of our packages where we help them with the process of when they're owning a franchise. So we kind of make them go through, actually check the location too. A lot of places, a lot of people will get, they want to open up a location, and they have the franchise head offices, let's say, in somewhere in California or in New York, and they have no idea about what's happening here, and they end up choosing the location, which is going to cost them a lot of money, whether they need a hood fan, whether it was the electrical panel of certain size they need it and it's not there. Then those issues start happening. It causes delay, it causes cost. So that's why Pircon Group is there. We kind of help them out the process, and we can, in the early stages, we can say yay or nay to your location. Say, yeah, you know what? You're going to have to spend 50 grand just to bring you to where you need to in order to get your construction, right? Or this is ready to go. So,
well, and some franchises, they'll get the locations.
yeah.
They'll just sign these leases.
Yeah, without looking.
That make no sense. And then the franchisee takes over, and they're stuck with this ridiculous lease, and of course they're not going to survive.
Yeah, we have tons of example of those as working in the construction industry and real estate. All right, okay, so Grace, bunch of thanks to you for coming to our podcast and actually being the highlight of all our podcasts. This was a really fun one. We learned a lot from you, and all your work into the business and the entrepreneurship that you're putting in. Really appreciate your efforts, and then for the community, what you're doing. And we would love to have you, down the road in future to one of our next podcasts. So,
thank you.
Yeah,
love to be back, and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I love the way you guys support, businesses, and I think it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's what we need. It's what we needed for our economy, for our city, for our province. So we're all for the business and pro business in Calgary and Alberta and Canada and USA.
Right? Globally.
Globally.
You're going,
there you go. We're global.
You're global.
There we go.
You're going global. Go big. Go big, guys.
Let's
global.
get it.
Okay. All right. Any last words?
No, I just wanted to say, thanks. Thanks for having me, and look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Do hit the like button. Do subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions or comments, do let us know. Also, we'll put Grace information in our description, and if her website and her email and phone number possibly. And then if you need to contact her, especially if you're dealing with franchises and you're dealing with locations that you do need to contact Grace. She'll be a great help for you guys.
Yes, and thank you everyone for tuning in to the Adeel Pirzada podcast, sponsored by yours truly and Adeel, this man here. And yes, just a little bit about our company. Just as we wrap up, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. A little bit about Pircon Group. We are general contractors, and we do design build. So a couple things about us is that, just like Grace was saying, if you need help with parts of the process for your franchise or your restaurant or your retail store, a lot of different things can happen, especially legally, but also on the permitting side, pre-construction, in the construction phase, post-construction. So we want to help you manage that full process from planning, permitting, construction, to handing the keys over to you. We want to support you with that. So for a little bit more information about our services, our GC services or our design services for your permits, go ahead and send us email. You can visit us at pircongroup.com, and I will drop my email down below, kevin@pircongroup.com. Reach out to me, and we'll get you taken care of.
All right, perfect. Okay, thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for being part of this.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.